You know, when you think of history's greatest generals, names like Alexander, Caesar, Napoleon, they just pop right into your head, right? They're legends. But what if I told you that one of the most successful, most dominant generals in all of history is someone you've probably never even heard of? Okay, let's get into this because his story really changes how you look at military history. So, get this. This commander fought in over 100 battles. And we're not talking about small little skirmishes here. We're talking major, full-scale engagements against two of the biggest superpowers on the planet at that time. The scale of what he accomplished is just staggering.
But here's the part that just blows my mind. Out of those 100-plus battles, do you have any idea how many he lost? Zero. Zilch. Nada. He was completely, totally, 100% undefeated.
So that's the big question, isn't it? The mystery we're going to try to unravel today. How can a general with a perfect undefeated record be practically unknown in the West? Let's uncover the incredible story of Khalid bin Walid.
To really get who this guy was, you have to start at the beginning. And trust me, it is not where you'd expect. His story doesn't begin as a hero of the faith he would later champion. It begins as its most effective and dangerous enemy.
So Khalid, he's born into the Quraysh tribe in Mecca. We're talking the absolute ruling elite, the very people leading the charge against the Prophet Muhammad and the early Muslims. In fact, at the Battle of Uhud, it was Khalid's genius, a perfectly timed cavalry charge that hit the flank that handed the Muslim forces a devastating defeat. But then, something incredible happens. In one of the biggest plot twists in history, Khalid converts. The man who nearly destroyed Islam switches sides.
And he wasn't just, let in. He was celebrated. The Prophet himself gave him the title Saif Allah, which means the sword of God. In an instant, the archenemy became the chosen champion. And this champion was about to be unleashed.
After the Prophet's passing, Khalid's first job was to unite a pretty fractured Arabia during what's known as the Ridda Wars. But once he got the home front locked down, he was given a new mission that sounded, well, completely impossible. Go take on the global superpowers.
Look, to really get how insane this was, let's put it in modern terms. Think of the Byzantine and the Sassanid Persian empires as the USA and the USSR during the Cold War. Absolute global superpowers. And the brand new caliphate, just coming out of the Arabian desert, in terms of power and resources, they were like Ecuador. And they weren't just picking a fight with one, they had to fight both.
So when he goes up against the mighty Persian army, Khalid doesn't just squeak out a win. No, he puts on an absolute clinic. A tactical masterpiece. At the Battle of Valaja, he pulls off a maneuver so clever, so brilliant, it's still being studied in military academies right now.
Okay, so here's how this perfect trap worked. First, Khalid sends his main infantry to attack the huge Persian center just to pin them down and get them distracted. But here's the clever part. He's already hidden his best cavalry units behind some nearby hills, totally out of sight. Then comes the stroke of genius. He orders his center to pretend to retreat. The Persians, thinking they've won, get overconfident and charge forward, right into the kill zone. And boom, Khalid's hidden cavalry comes roaring out from behind the hills and slams into their rear. They're completely surrounded, trapped, annihilated. It was sheer tactical genius.
After basically breaking the Persian war machine, Khalid doesn't even take a breath. He races west to deal with the other superpower, the Byzantine Empire. And what happens next? Well, it's not just another battle. This is the moment that changes the course of Middle Eastern history forever.
Yeah, the Byzantine Emperor Heraclius. He is completely fed up with these upstarts from the desert. He gathers this enormous army, one of the biggest anyone had ever seen in the region, with one simple goal: wipe the caliphate off the map and take back Syria, for good.
And this battle really shows the difference in thinking. The Byzantines were playing by the old rulebook. They had this huge, powerful cavalry, but they just kept it in the back as a reserve. Very static, very predictable. Khalid, on the other hand, was innovating. He created something new, the Mobile Guard, a super-fast elite cavalry unit. Think of them as battlefield firefighters. Anytime a part of the Muslim line started to buckle or break, this unit would just zoom over, plug the hole, stabilize everything, and get ready for the next crisis. That kind of flexibility was a total game changer.
And the outcome of this new tactic was, well, it was a total catastrophe for the Byzantines. The Battle of Yarmouk raged for 6 brutal days, and Khalid's forces just took their army apart, piece by piece. When the dust settled, an estimated 50,000 Byzantine soldiers were dead.
I mean, you really can't overstate how huge this was. Yarmouk wasn't just a win. It was one of those events that literally reshapes the world.
Some historians say you can basically split the history of the Middle East into two distinct eras, before Yarmouk and after Yarmouk. That's how pivotal it was. It completely shattered Byzantine power in the region and paved the way for a whole new world.
All right, so you'd think the guy who just took down two global superpowers would be a hero for life, right? Supreme commander to the day he dies, parades, the whole thing. But that's not how Khalid's story goes. It takes another surprising and kind of sad turn.
Right at the absolute peak of his fame and power, the new caliph, Umar, actually dismisses Khalid from command. And get this, it wasn't because he messed up or did something wrong. It wasn't for treason. It was because he was too successful, too famous. Umar was worried that the people were starting to believe that victory came from Khalid, the man, instead of from God.
And this part of the story really shows you the true character of the man. Does he get angry? Does he lead a revolt with the army that absolutely adored him? Nope. He just accepts the decision, humbly. He pledges his loyalty to the new commander and goes right back to fighting for the cause, just as an ordinary soldier.
A few years later, in 642, the undefeated warrior finally died. But he didn't die on the battlefield, which is all he ever wanted. He died peacefully in his bed. His reported final words, they're just heartbreaking. He basically said, "I have fought in so many battles, there isn't a single spot on my body that doesn't have a scar, and yet here I am, dying in my bed like an old camel."
So that brings us all the way back to where we started. This undefeated commander, a man who took on the world and won, who reshaped the map forever. Where does he actually rank among the all-time greats of history?
Well, maybe the most powerful answer doesn't come from his time, but from right now, from modern academia. Dr. Roy Casagranda, a professor of government, puts Khalid bin Walid in his top 3 military strategists in all of human history, right up there with Thutmose III and Alexander the Great, an undefeated underdog who forged an empire with little more than a sword and one of the most brilliant military minds the world has ever seen.